You're listening to hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter. That's me, your naturally platinum blonde pop culture connoisseur. I'm the reality TV junkie, self-improvement addict, and host with only the hottest tea spilled fresh weekly. For more hot takes, go and give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. I always keep it funny and I always keep it cute. And if you're like me and you want to stay up to date with the latest reality tea, go and give us a follow at No Filter with Zack on the Instagram. Or you can join our private Facebook group. The link is in the description below. Right now, I hope you are sipping on some fizzy Housewives-inspired wine for yourself, packing a punch at 13% alcohol but less than a gram of sugar. It is my No Filter wine. You can get it at nofilterwine.com. 13% alcohol by volume, so you will get Liddy City, but less than a gram of sugar, so you're not going to get that gnarly wine headache. 4 fun designs inspired by some of our favorite, most iconic Housewives moments. Must be 21 or older to order. But please sip responsibly. Get Liddy City. It's going to be a good time. Head over to nofilterwine.com right now. That's nofilterwine.com. Okay, so I'm so excited. 7 years, 12 seasons, and now 500 episodes, and there's nobody else that I could celebrate this milestone with. She's had quite the career trajectory from the suburbs of Chicago to MTV to sitcom star, talk show host, radio host, panelist on The View, judge on The Masked Singer, and now founder of Formless Beauty, the one and only Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg.
What an introduction. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for still taking my calls.
Are you kidding? I've known Zack, by the way, since he was this big. And the moment I met him, I was like, this kid is going to go so far. Honestly, I'm so proud of you. Like, you are an inspiration to me. You are, I feel like this ages me, but like, I feel like a proud mother.
Oh.
I do. I've seen you blossom and grow and kill it. Like, you're one of my favorite interviewers.
Aw, thank you. Well, I've learned from the best.
Oh, please.
I listened to so many episodes of
Oprah?
The Jen McCarthy Show. I can't believe it. I mean, we've known each other for so long. I feel like I was like a baby when I met you.
You were a baby. You were a baby, but you were a baby that had a shining light on it. You had this glow and this heart and this passion. And I have not met one other person in this business where I could say, I 100% know that their trajectory, their star is going to just explode.
I mean, I have to say, you were always somebody, even when I was like 16 and interning, like you always took a chance on me, which I feel like I always had to like prove myself. I mean, especially in this industry, you always have to constantly prove yourself. But I'm just grateful that you always saw something in me and you believed in me from the very beginning.
100%. And you know what's interesting about something you said, not to get too philosophical right out of the bat, but like really we're proving shit to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone comes into this, like a girlfriend was saying to me, where do you get your confidence from? I'm like, well, we're all scared.
Yeah.
We all think that we're not good enough. We all think that we don't know what we're doing. We all think someone's better than us. And it's just a matter of just moving forward. Keep going.
No,
that's it.
When people tell me, oh, you're so confident, I'm like, I'm delusional. I just wake up every day and I just do it. Scared, tired, whatever it is, I just get up and I throw myself into it. And, you can call it confidence. I call it delusion. But I think you need to be a little delusional in order to make anything happen for yourself.
I said, you know what I have more of than confidence? Balls.
Yes.
I've got big balls because I will run into the fire, and I might melt, and I have plenty of times, but I'm still gonna keep going.
Now, those balls have gotten you into trouble, though. You've definitely been a lot more polarizing. How do you bounce through that? Because I feel like you get as much as you give, you get the reflection back at you.
Totally. I guess if I look back in hindsight at my life and my journey, because it's much easier to look back in hindsight. I realized my high school was my preparation because high school, I went to an all-girl Catholic school and it was tough. It was way tougher than any of the backlash I've gotten or shit that I've gone through or being polarizing publicly it was really hard, especially because when you're that age, you don't have the resources, the spirituality, the wisdom,
Yeah.
toolbox to deal with a lot of those things. So I just felt like so lost, chaotic, broken, and didn't know where to turn, that by the time I got to Hollywood, I had this armor. And the armor really helped me get through a lot of that. And love. Like when you are doing something for someone you love, in this case was my son.
Yeah.
It's amazing what I will lift up a car with my pinky if I had to. You have the strength that comes out of, I think, the divine, that drove me, that said, I've got to use my voice. I think that everyone has a purpose in this lifetime. And when I look at my own reason as to why I made it, I honestly believe it was for a greater purpose, like to not just kind of yunking up and show the pretty girls can fart and all those things. It was really to kind of help maybe wake some people up.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is the purpose is what gets you through it. It's what gets you through the hard days. It's what gets you through, I think people that don't have purpose are the ones that are aimless, are the ones that ultimately end up kind of just fizzing out and living this, I don't want to say mediocre life, but like this life of, that lacks intention, but also like, that mundane 9 to 5 where they kind of hate their life and they're not really doing anything that wakes them up and fulfills them every day. Where did you learn how to do that? Especially being in Hollywood. Like Hollywood can beat you up, and Hollywood can tell you, "Oh, you pose for Playboy. All you're good for is blonde hair and boobs."
Which is what I was told. Yes, many times. When I first moved out here, I saw this store called the Aura Shop, and it's still there in Santa Monica, and the Psychic Eye Bookshop, the Aura Shop is where I visit now. The Psychic Eye Bookshop was in Westwood. And I went inside, and it was my first week I lived in LA, and I looked around at these crystals and these books about near-death experiences, astral projection, channeling. I was 20 years old, and I remember going like something spoke to me after going to Catholic school and being in this box and thinking I was going to burn in hell for all eternity. This is a store that offered me a possibility of hope. Like maybe I won't burn in hell forever. I didn't know there was other philosophies. Let me dive into this. I literally would go every single day while all these other playmates were partying their balls off and sitting there and absorbing all these books. And I remember the lady at the store was like, you've come in here like almost every day for the past 6 months. And she's like, have you read almost everything in the store? I'm like, almost. I mean, thousands and thousands of near-death experience books. Like I said, astral projection. Then I just got into all of it. And it gave me different perspectives. And to me, even to this day, if I can offer anything to people, it's perspectives change your life.
Yeah.
They open your mind. They offer compassion. Not only for people, but for yourself.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, I was seeing things just in this tiny little way. Open my mind. You open your heart. So just walking into that store was a life changer for me. And then I just continued to fall down the rabbit hole of spirituality and found my own little gurus along the way. Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, Aaron Abke, keep going.
Love Aaron. And it's funny because I don't think people realize how much into this you've been. Like, I remember being, 17, 18, reading Love, Lust, and Faking It, where you talk about, like, breaking up with Christianity, but, like, also finding Buddhism and kind of, like, finding this new spirituality journey. And at the time, I remember reading it and not kind of fully understanding it, but also kind of being like, there's something kind of here that I would do my own sort of research, and just kind of going down that path. And then you have that path of awakening. I think I've even been, like, texting you being like, is it weird that when you start to have this, like, spiritual awakening, you like start to feel like you're losing yourself, and you're like, that's breaking up with the ego. That's normal. I'm like, but it's so great. I feel like I'm going crazy.
You do feel like you're kind of going crazy. It's like, and it is kind of a scary crazy and a good crazy.
Yeah.
Because you are losing your identity.
Yeah.
And that is,
Or your perceived identity.
yes, exactly. You're like, oh my God, wait a minute. I'm not Jenny McCarthy for who people think I am. I'm not the name. I'm not the, oh my God, I'm not. And then it all starts to unravel.
Yeah.
And you're like, till you get to I am.
Yeah.
And when you get to I am, it's freaking incredible.
It is.
It really is. That is the life vest that has the last life vest, I think, that anyone needs is to get to the I am.
And you don't stay in the I am. You have to constantly choose the I am. You have to constantly recalibrate because the world is going to continue to knock you over a million times.
If I could stay in the I am, I would be levitating or a monk in Tibet.
Yes.
It's, and I think that's why we're here. We're here at Earth School.
Yeah.
To experience all these things and try to live in duality. Duality, the good and the bad, is neither good nor bad. It just is. And we are there to, learn how to balance the two.
Is that what inspired you to launch Formless Beauty? Because it's very intention driven. It's a lip gloss line, and there are a ton of lip gloss lines out there right now. But I think yours is so different because there's an intention behind every shade. And you now have 5, right?
Correct. And there's more on the way, but I'm intentionally going very slow because I'm intentionally want to do everything right.
Yes.
And the purpose for Formless Beauty initially, because there are so many makeup brands out there, but knowing what I know in industries and lobbyists, that there's a lot of crap.
Yeah.
We know our food. I can go through everything. I'm swearing at the chemtrails today.
Yeah.
In makeup, when I found out that the last time the FDA regulated makeup was 80 years ago. Now think about that. That means any company can come along, put in some bullshit, and no one's going to call them out on it. No one. So you have to trust all these companies who, by the way, are having China manufacture it. And have you seen people, I've seen kids come back with their toy makeup kits with these big rashes and blisters. And I think to myself, how in the heck are people putting their trust in? It's because people don't know, number one. So I thought to myself, you know what? I need it for me. And that's when I usually come up with stuff. If I need it, I want to make it for me because I only trust myself at this point. But I think there's other people out there that are interested, that also go, you know what? I want to make sure that the stuff I put on me is clean, is pure, and is made here in the USA.
Well, because everything you put on your skin's essentially eating.
That's right.
And especially lip gloss, because you're literally eating that.
And I'm all day long, I'm like, it's like my stim.
Yeah. And you've been doing lip gloss forever. It's not even just the trend that you've jumped on. You've always been into lip gloss.
I love it. It literally, it's kind of like an addiction a little bit. It is. It's like I have to, like a nervous habit. Like some people would do this or bite their nails.
Yeah.
Mine is apply lip gloss. And the amount of crap that's in lip gloss, I was like, what am I really eating? I'm touting don't eat too much tuna. Don't do this to people. Don't do that. Don't do this. And here I am. I'm like, I got to realize I'm putting one of the largest organs, our skin, I'm putting shit on it.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to start with lip gloss. And eventually I'd like to get into the eyeshadows because there's asbestos. In most eyeshadows, there's asbestos. And foundation, which we all know is the worst in it. That's going to be the hardest.
Yeah.
I'm probably 10 years away from really creating the best foundation.
So what are some of the intentions that you currently have in the gloss line?
Well, I've Manifest. That's, of course, one of my favorites because I'm a big believer in manifestation. Love it. Did it from the time I was a little girl to right now. Divine, our divinity. Finding the divine within. There's love. There's nothing bigger. There's nothing greater. And it's who we are. We are love. So I include all these little manifestations with each purchase, and it's only to kind of kickstart you. You can use one of those. Yeah. But I also say, whenever you put it on, activate that intention, feel it.
Well, I ordered some and I got the love one and I put it all over and I'm like, okay, where's my man? Where's my man? Where's my man? And you know what I ended up finding? I needed to love myself and turn all the men off so that I can focus inward. And the universe is like, okay, you want love? Let's put you through it so that you can actually learn the lesson of what love actually means.
100%. Because, and you're lucky because if you're demanding it, you're going to attract that level of consciousness that you're at.
Yes.
So if you are feeling shitty or low or not worthy, you're going to attract someone that is feeling,
I did.
unworthy. And I've done plenty of those.
Yeah.
And when I turned my life around meeting Donnie Wahlberg, I went through a period of like, okay, I'm stopping. I'm not going to attract anybody. I'm going to work on myself. And I dug deep. I was like, I'm going to go inside and fix all those boo-boos. And then about a year and a half later, I said, okay, universe, all right, I'm ready. Now make sure whoever comes they don't have to be fully cooked. It's okay if I have to bake with them a little bit. But I know I shifted up.
Yeah.
Because when I would meet people, I would reset myself, recalibrate, and be like, oh, okay, I'm higher. I brought my vibration back up again. And then I'd meet someone who isn't quite there, and I could feel myself downshift, like a gear. You know, and it was weird. I was like, wait a minute, I was here.
Yeah.
But I would put myself back. I could literally feel it. So I said, I'm not doing it again.
Yeah.
They're going to have to raise themselves up. And when I met Donnie, it was wonderful and still is wonderful. It took work.
How are you guys doing? I can imagine it's challenging you coming back to LA, him having to go to New York, being on tour, that like there's the physical barrier of not always being together. And I feel like physical intimacy is what a lot of people rely on to keep their relationship strong.
Totally. And that's what FaceTime is for.
Love a good FaceTime.
Sexy time FaceTime is for. You know, and we used to have this rule called the 14-day rule. And we did it for 6 years where we wouldn't go past 14 days. Then COVID happened and we both still had to work, but we couldn't fly. So, because I used to, in between Masked Singer, where I'm at now, I used to go home in between each show. So I'd take a red eye, I'd go home and spend 24 hours with him and fly back. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Like we used to. So we were like, well, we just have to move to the next level of our relationship. And that's figure it out, trust it. And we do. We laugh and we're like, we're so good. We're so solid. Like our 8-year anniversary is August 31st. And it feels like just yesterday. It literally, I still get butterflies.
It does feel like yesterday.
It does.
It's so funny because we were just talking about the last time we actually saw each other, which I now realize was at the New Kids concert.
That's right.
Just a few, like less than a couple months ago.
If you haven't seen the video that Zack took at the New Kids concert this past summer, you have to go on his page. Go on his page because it is, Donnie even said, he goes, this is the most epic shot. It's just epic.
Yeah. I mean, I had such a blast at the concert. I have to tell you though, we got there so early, like before everyone was even there. And I remember looking around at the stadium, like, is it because people are still afraid to go out? And I'm like, why does the stadium look so empty? I'm like, have New Kids lost their touch? And then 15 minutes later, everybody, it was packed. So, and I'm like, of course they didn't lose their touch. The fans are so invested and like die hard. Like, I mean, it is
if you think about it, they've
incredible.
been doing this for 35 years. Yeah. And when I tour with Donnie, their arenas are sold out across the country.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
They are the greatest group of fans ever.
So sweet. So kind. So thoughtful. It was just, I mean, I always love getting to go to the concerts and like meet new people.
Donnie said he was so happy to see you there.
I had a blast. I haven't been to a concert in a minute, but it was a blast.
We all needed to let loose.
Oh yeah, I was ready. It was Liddy City.
I know. I need to let loose more. I'm ready for Vegas. I'm ready for a real Vegas hangover.
Yes. Well, you've been working. We have The Masked Singer season 8. It's going to be premiering again soon.
Yep.
Did you envision it lasting this long, 8 seasons?
I envisioned it only in my manifestation visualizations. It was weird because just before Masked Singer, I was doing my radio show, and I was thinking to myself, like, I get these weird urges sometimes. I go, I really feel like getting back on TV and like, wouldn't it be great? This is how I manifest. Wouldn't it be great if I got on a TV show that is like really successful, but I don't really have to carry the show. It's just great and it's feel good TV. Well, whatever. And then literally like the next month, my agent's like, hey, you just got this offer for this TV show. He's like, I think it's kind of weird. I think we should pass. And I was like, you know what? It checks a lot of the boxes that it might be weird enough for it to be a hit. And it was. So I'm grateful.
I mean, and you're great. You're what? One of the best guessers on the show.
Zack,
you keep getting the award season after season.
I know they got rid of it this season because someone keeps winning it.
Listen.
And I know.
You earned it.
No. Hey, you know what? I know my pop culture.
You do. Okay. Do you study? Do you how do you are you secretly Googling while they're on? How do you even, I feel like I'm pretty pop culture savvy, but I couldn't guess as many
I'll tell you
right
what the
answers.
secret is. This is the secret. I did 6-7 years. I don't know how long I was on Sirius for, of celebrity dirt every day. So we had to keep up on what the heck was going on in these celebrities' lives. So when the clues would come up, I would know who was engaged, who was divorced, who was going through this, who lost somebody. I just was able to pick up on all those clues. Plus, I'm a lover of escape rooms and figuring stuff out. Whereas my, fellow panelists, judges, they don't care much about the clues. They like to hear, the voices.
The voices.
So me being able to put those clues together, I think is what really gave me an edge. And doing gossip on every day on radio.
I mean, it's working. It's working. You're undefeated. I love watching the show. It's always a good time.
Yeah, wait to see me on Fuego this season.
Oh, I can't wait. What would you say? I mean, you started on MTV. Now you're currently on Fox. Most people don't start on a big network and then still have a big career on a big network so many years later. At some point there's a burnout, and I feel like you're going stronger than you have.
It has been a very weird, interesting journey, if I can give you it in a nutshell, because there's been so many ups and downs in betweens and twists and turns. Because when I first came out here, I was the only job I can get was being a playmate, and I was told, shut up, just pose, and don't ever try to be funny or do anything serious. Then I got the job on MTV, and then MTV took me off to do a show on NBC. And then the NBC show only lasted a year, and then I was signed to a production deal, like a holding deal. So in Hollywood, they pay you to sit.
Yeah.
And they pay you to sit and not do anything for anybody else, and they'll develop something for you, maybe. Well, I had a development deal at Fox, then I had a development deal at ABC, then I had a development deal at NBC, then I went back to ABC, so I went around and around and around. So I was paid to do nothing, except each one of those pilots weren't going.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I went, oh my God, it's been 6 years and I haven't been out there visually. That's kind of scary, even though I was getting paid. And then I got pregnant, which was a very scary time because it was a pilot that was finally going to go. We were casting it, and they found out I was pregnant with Evan, and they fired me from my contract. I'm not sure if I told the story. They fired me, and my lawyer said, you have a lawsuit because you're not supposed to be considered disabled. They called you disabled because you were pregnant. And you could sue them, or you can work again. And this is back in the day, where girls kind of had to shut up.
Yeah.
And I'm pregnant. And I'm like, first of all, I can't deal with a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I just want to work. And so I was relying on that money because they weren't going to pay me that holding fee either. So it was a very stressful time when I had to get booted off and deliver. And went through my pregnancy and was like, you know what? I have a lot of stuff to say about this pregnancy thing that just happened. I'm just going to write a book about it and see what happens. So I started writing this book. I'm like, maybe I can make a few bucks from this, and sent it out to tons of publishers, all of them, and got rejection letters from every single one of them, except for one. except for one that said like, "Hi, we're a small publishing group, but we'll take you on. It's a funny pregnancy book," and it debuted at number 9. And then I was like, okay, well maybe I can write. And then I went from Belly Laughs to Baby Laughs, which was also a New York Times bestseller. And then I went to Life Laughs, and then the autism journey trilogy happened. So being an author kind of took a whole new direction in my life, to the point where I was like, okay, on to the next thing. I feel like I've had a lot of incarnations, of staying alive in this business.
And you've done it. What would you say was your career highlight and the one project you're like, oof, that was the toughest to do?
Ooh, that's such a good question. There's probably 2 highlights.
Okay.
Doing MTV for the first time, like after getting told so many no's, after MTV refused to let me audition numerous times. I think it was like 16 times they would not let me audition, so I had to crash the audition. And then the first episode of Singled Out, I caught my room on fire and almost died. And do you know that story?
No.
Oh my God. I was with my boyfriend and we were shooting it in Lake Havasu. And it was the very first time I'm going to be on TV. Like they're giving me this shot to be this game show girl. And I went to Lake Havasu, and my boyfriend had the stomach flu. And I was like, listen, bitch, I have to get up early. I have to shoot this TV show. I'm going to light this little candle, and I'm going to leave it here, and you blow it out before you go to bed, because I'm going to bed. Well, I put the candle on top of my hot rollers, and he didn't wind up blowing it out because he kept throwing up and going back to sleep. So in my sleep, this legit happens. I'm in this deep sleep, and I have this figure come over me going, wake up. And I'm going, no, I'm so cozy. And the figure's going, Jenny, wake up now. And I'm like, no, I'm so comfortable. And I remember being so comfortable in this black space of just comfort. And then finally this angel screamed, wake up. And I opened up my eyes, and the entire ceiling was orange flames, orange rippling flames, no sound. It was silent. And I can't even see my hand in front of me because it's black. Everything's black. And I start to shake my boyfriend. And he's like, really hard to wake him up. Finally get him up. He's like, holy shit, grabs me, rolls me to the floor. We're trying to find the exit because it's pitch black.
Yeah.
And we're putting our hands on the door. We finally get out of the room, crawl through the living room part of the suite, open up the door, and roll out into the hallway. And it's the first time I get to see light and him. And he was pitch black. I mean, black. And I look and see firemen running down the hallway. I'm like, where were the fucking alarms? Like, where was the shower? Whatever. And the firemen, after we were in the ambulance and everything, they're like, you had maybe 5 more minutes left of life.
Wow.
Throwing up, black suit. And I had to film my first MTV show that day.
But you did it.
I did it.
You did. And I think that is a testament to career longevity, is still being able to show up for work. Right now, everyone's like, oh, my stomach doesn't feel good today. I'm going to call. I'm just like,
I'm having a bad hair day. I can't show up at work. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And I did it. And was really happy because then everything kind of was trajectory from there. But the second one was when I got a phone call that said, Oprah wants you on, to have you on for your book. Like, just to be able to have, like, when Oprah was on, anyone that was on her show that was chosen with the book, that was, there was nothing bigger. There was nothing, except for Barbara Walters' 10 Most Fascinating People at the end of the year. Those 2 things back in the day were everything. And so when I got that phone call, I literally remember falling on my knees and crying and being like, thank you. Because it was such an important book too. And I was like, guided.
What was the most challenging?
Job. The most challenging job. The View. Yeah. Of course.
That's what I
was blocked that out. The View was really tough. Initially when I was hired, they got rid of Joy and Elizabeth because they said that they were too polarizing. It was, they were kind of tired of being polarizing. That's really what it was. And they're like, we want to freshen up. We want someone to do light. pop culture, fluffy. There's no one better that's fluffy.
Yeah.
Pop culture. I am fluff. There's nothing I don't want to be a fighter.
Yeah.
You know, I can fight for certain things, but I'm not going to die on a hill for a politician or, a pop star's crusade, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just, there's way more important things in life than to fight about every single thing that is going on in the world. And at that point, I would have never have signed on for it.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, you could see who was in the running. It was like me and Brooke Shields. They were going for a lighter fanfare. And within the first week, I think I brought up Katy Perry. And when Barbara Walters said, "Who's Katy Perry?" They realized they couldn't do pop culture.
Yeah.
You know, Barbara's wheelhouse was, cutthroat issues. That's why she created The View.
Yeah.
And her memory was going a little bit. So pop culture people weren't sticking as much. So they quickly changed within that week to be back to politics. And, I'm like, I hadn't even voted it by then.
Yeah.
Truly, that's how out of politics I was. And I was like, raised in the family that I was in, like, I grew up to want to be a peacekeeper.
Yeah.
If the people fight, I'm like, no. Let me make you laugh. Like, I need peace. And I'm sure that's from childhood, some trauma.
Yeah.
But I every day then doing The View, I was sick. I was nauseous. I would literally fall asleep at night and do this. When you do that, like all throughout the night, I'd have earthquakes.
Yeah.
Earthquakes. I'm like, I can't do this. So the greatest thing ever was, the Red Wedding, which is now I call it, where they let go of like 30 people.
Yeah.
People that were been there from the beginning. Like Bill, Sherry, they just cleaned house.
So you were interviewed for Ladies Who Punch, made a lot of headlines. Do you feel like your interview was taken out of context, used for clickbait? Was everything honest? Did they chop it up in a way that didn't? Because I feel like we're in this culture where we love to take sound bites, make them headlines, and sensationalize them.
It's how the industry works.
Yeah.
I even knew that with radio. Any interview that I would do, you grab the catchiest headline. So being interviewed for that book, I knew what I was getting into. I wish there was a little bit more context, but I knew exactly what I was saying. Just coming off of The View, I feel like they made it sound like I was being too hard on Barbara, when really I had the most compassion for her. Yeah. Like, I love Barbara. Like, she was my girl. Like, was I scared of her? Heck yeah. Who wouldn't be? She's yelled at me numerous times. Yeah. But with Barbara, at least you know what you were getting. Like, it came from I don't know how to say this, but like a sad place. Yeah. Like I felt compassion for it. Whereas other things that happened on The View were just dark.
Yeah. You didn't get along much with Whoopi.
I got along with Whoopi. I just saw the dynamic of Barbara being her last year and Barbara wanting to be the lead for some things, and felt bad because Whoopi didn't want to kind of give up that seat. And I thought, well, Whoopi, you're going to be here for a long time. Give it to Barbara, Yeah. So that kind of got blown up. But I had some great times with Whoopi. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you talked to Barbara at all? I know, she's kind of kept to herself in recent years.
Sherry and I kept in touch a little bit after The View, and she was freaking devastated. But I believe that she's just chosen to stay private.
Yeah.
In the last few years.
Would you say you learned more from Oprah or from Barbara?
That's a really good question. Well, Oprah actually put me through some training. And it's interesting because I realized that each job you have to use different tools. Like, for instance, Oprah was very much about, this is about who you're interviewing. You want to guide, bring things out but not make it about yourself.
Yeah.
When I went to podcast world, Sirius, it was the opposite. They were like, we need more of your stories. We need more. And I was so trained to be like, oh, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about me, that I had to and I am an open book. I am an open book, but I just had to retrain myself to be like, no, I can't talk about myself. I'm doing 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
So that helped kind of open me back up.
Now, you did have Erika Jane on your podcast, on your Sirius XM show, and you had a full one-on-one with her. I'm very curious what your thoughts are on Erika now, knowing that, we have this whole embezzlement scandal with her husband, Tom Girardi.
I can only give my opinion really is, and because I don't have any facts. People are like, you know her. I'm like, I don't know her. I interviewed her about her book, about what was in her book. First of all, I give Erika a lot of credit to go from where she was to where she is now. Mm-hmm. Good on you. It was hard watching the documentary because, of course, you see a lot of those families that got screwed. And it's a shame because she didn't commit the sins.
Right.
And if I was with a partner that was committing those sins and I really had no idea, what a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame. But even if I didn't know what was going on and then I found out with everybody else, I'm pretty sure I would do everything I can to get those families repaid.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I would want to see her go, and who knows, maybe she is. Who knows, it takes a strong woman to continue to face the camera.
Yeah.
So who knows if it's for ego or if it's for maybe to use some of that money to help families.
Yeah. Well, I also think she's probably just in survival mode of she can only see tunnel vision of what her, path is. Do you have any advice to her taking so much of the heat that she is taking as someone that's also kind of sat, not in similar circumstances, but just in being a woman in Hollywood that's taking heat for,
shit.
Just, yeah.
And it's not shit, I should say. Taking heat, regardless of whether everything is true on you or not.
Right.
Just taking heat.
Right. And not being able to reclaim that narrative.
Right. It's going to be really hard, I think, to sing some of those songs.
Yeah.
I would just say to do the inner work as much as possible. That's what everybody needs. Their shadow work, dark night of the soul. She's in it.
Yeah.
It's a matter of if you want to go inward and do the work on it, or not. Otherwise, that journey just gets tougher and tougher.
It does. Do you ever find yourself retreating back into the ego and because I have moments where I will just go on Twitter and read all the mean things people have to say about me and go through all the forums of all the things, and it's not healthy, and I know it's not healthy, but I just go back into that place sometimes because it just fuels whatever I want to validate in that moment.
Donnie has a great saying: if you're going to look in the toilet, you're going to find shit.
Yeah.
So don't look in the toilet. Now, mind you, I have seen so much hate. I even called things that I haven't heard actual murderers in prison be called.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've heard my son be called things that no one should ever call a child. So I've read it all. I've experienced it all. I've had people say it to my face. I've gotten to this place, I can honestly say, where I can look at anything that is evil or mean directed at me, and it doesn't affect me. And it's not a wall of compartmentalization. I've come to the understanding, and only through my own self of experiencing this, is that everything that we feel about ourselves, we project.
Yeah.
We project so we can see it, or we use people so we can see it. And I only learned that from my own projections of projecting, of me watching TV going, I can't stand that housewife, and then me stopping and going, okay, what bugs me about this celebrity that I don't know in person? What is it? What are her attributes that are bugging me or trigger me? What about this political figure we can use for people that bugs me? let me use some words. And I learned this from Byron Katie. And Byron Katie, if you don't know who she is, she's a wonderful spiritual teacher. And she has this thing called the turnarounds where you turn things around. And I actually asked her and slept over at her house and said, help me understand mean things people say.
Yeah.
And she helped me understand that. And now when I read that, I say, oh, they must be having a really bad day.
Yeah.
That person must be hurting. Like I used to answer people back.
Yeah.
You don't see me answering anybody back. I send them love and send them on their way. And I taught Evan this from an early age, and it's one of my most proudest thing as a mother I've taught him, because he will walk in the door from school and be like, Charlie had a bad day today. And I'm like, why? And he's like, he called me this awful name. He called me a loser, dork that should die. And I just thought to myself, wow, his mom must have yelled at him last night or something. So I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's not personal.
Yeah.
And when you can really own that it's not personal, it is heaven. It is freedom. And your heart expands.
Yeah. You have to remember that it's whatever they're going through. They're operating from their own level of consciousness. I think for me, that came with having to go through a really heavy grieving process last year and understanding that a lot of people didn't understand what I was going through. And I had to remember they don't know this pain. They haven't been here yet.
Correct.
And you have to have that level of empathy for them,
That's
even
right.
though in the moment you want
That's
them to have so much empathy for you.
That is right.
And, and when you do that and you operate from that lens, you're able to not take it personally anymore.
Correct. And you said that so beautifully. And it's not a place from like, you're not at my level of consciousness.
Right.
It's not that.
No.
It is, okay, they haven't gone through the experiences I've gone through maybe yet, or they've had a hard upbringing, or they had a terrible day, and that's what they're projecting. I love them and send them, some healing.
Yeah.
But by the way, that took me, how long have I been in this business? Almost 30 years, 28 years or something like that. It took that many years where I can say I have mastered that.
Yeah.
I have mastered that. So whatever you guys want to say to me, sorry, I'm just sending you love it right back.
No, that's like telling them bring it, and then they're like, all right, I'll bring it. I don't like to poke the bear.
I mean, by the way, I could test that and become a housewife.
Yeah. Would you ever do it?
I've been asked.
Yeah, Bethany asked you, right?
Bethany asked, and I was like, first of all, Bethany, I love you for asking. Second of all, I don't live in New York. I live in Jersey, and I don't have the money you guys do, so no. But truth be told, I could not do that kind of, it's like The View.
Yeah.
It's like living with The View. I could not fight like that. And,
Combat, yeah.
And, it's ruthless on Twitter for these housewives.
Oh, yeah. Lisa Rinna takes so much heat.
So much heat. And so that is a school
Yeah.
that I'm not willing to join that school. You know, like I've got my own. I don't need another university.
Yeah. Have you kept in touch with Chelsea at all? Chelsea Handler? Because you guys used to be so close.
We were very close. When I lived out here, we were very close. And I had her on my radio show just before I finished.
She's had a major awakening herself.
Right? She's had definitely a shift in consciousness.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for her. She's been very happy.
What did you think when she came out with Joe Coy?
I love Joy.
Because you were around during Chelsea lately.
I was so happy. I thought they made a beautiful couple. I was happy. I was actually really disappointed when they broke up.
I do really love seeing her be so self-aware now, and being like, and just kind of owning why the relationship didn't work in her own role. And, I think she's in a really good place. I loved her last book.
Me too.
And I think
I think so too. I was like, okay, if Chelsea Handler can shift y'all, anyone can.
Okay. Do you have some listener questions for you?
Oh, wow.
Okay. The Zack Pack sends in some questions for you. One of them was about, would you ever join Housewives? But Tom J. Seymour wants to know, have you seen The Secrets of the Playboy documentary, and what are your thoughts?
They had asked me to host
that
show. They wanted me to really be involved and be an executive producer and be in it numerous times, where I had to, on the sixth time, said, no, I love the production company. I'm going to put that out there because I do love them who did it. But because I didn't have the same experiences.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to sign up for a paycheck and be salacious.
Yeah.
I didn't experience those things. And hearing their stories, my heart broke for a lot of these women. I'm so grateful that when I was there, Hef was married, and it was kind of run like a strict dormitory. Like we weren't even allowed near Hef or around the house. It was very, it was almost like Catholic school, to be honest. There were no orgies or big parties going on. So I think I went in there in a window of time that was kind of safe.
Yeah.
But hearing some of these girls' stories was really rough.
Yeah, I know Holly Madison's come out. She's spoken a lot about it, Kendra Wilkinson, and they have very conflicting stories as well in terms of what their experiences were. And it's funny to think they were in the same house at the same time.
Well, think about this, because I have 3 sisters. And when I'm publicly telling my stories of childhood, someone will call me like, what house were you raised in? Because each one of them have their own whole point of view and perception.
Yeah.
It's almost like we were in different households. When you sit down and hear everyone's, you're like, really? That's what you thought? That's who you blame for your trauma? You know what I mean? It's like everyone has a different story outline of their life. And that's the analogy I would use for the Playmates. It's like, yeah, we were in the same house.
Yeah.
We all didn't experience the same shit.
Well, I know Holly did speak highly of you in her book. You interviewed her, didn't you?
I have. She was always great. I always loved Holly. Yeah. Loved her.
No, she's great. I know they're relaunching a podcast with her and Bridget, going back and watching The Girls Next Door.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy to see how much Playboy has kind of evolved. I mean, and you posed several times. I mean, your most recent, you were what, 40?
I was 40, 10 years ago. Oh my God.
But what a milestone, though. I mean, they don't often have, I mean, we see Kim Kardashian now posing on Sports Illustrated at 40, and like that's something that was not a thing 10 years ago.
No, I guess not. No.
Kind of broke that mold.
I kind of wanted to do it before my tits got really saggy. I was like, I'm just going to get in there before they're scraping the floor.
Catherine Davies wants to know if you'd ever start a podcast. She says she really misses your radio show.
Oh, I'm so grateful, because I know a lot of people have been writing going, please come back. And, my sister, my older sister, Lynette, has been asking me, she's a podcast lover. And she's like, please, 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 let's do one together and just do it on whatever topics. Could just be, interviewing, special people, or just talking and riffing on our childhood. And I was like, all right, so I will be coming out with something. I'm just don't know when, and we probably only have 4 that we've banked so far. So, the 4 over the course of a year and a half. Eventually, we'll get it out there.
I feel like you should do something in the realm of like dating and relationships. You started on Singled Out. You've done so much for the work. You're in such a healthy relationship now. Is that something you would ever consider?
The problem with that is, and this is what I learned being on radio, doing 2 hours a day, is that when you limit yourself to one particular topic, you dry out of that topic really quick.
Yeah.
So you want to be as broad and big as possible. Otherwise, you will die a slow death. You will literally want to jump off a bridge and be like, I can't talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
So if I go on, it'd be like, today we're going to talk about plastic surgery, what to do and what not to do, and horror stories, and what's the latest and greatest, or who knows, husband stories, divorce stories, you name it.
Can you see yourself doing another book?
I keep asking myself that, because I do love writing.
Yeah.
But, and then I tell God, please don't let me have any ailments or anything happen. Like I can't deal with anything else.
Yeah.
So probably someday. I've just written so much about everything my whole life.
Yeah.
And I like to write from experiences. So I'll have to wait. I was like, do I do the menopause book? And I went through menopause, and I'm like, shit, I didn't have any symptoms. So weird. So I can't do that. I don't know. We'll see.
Reality TV, would you ever go back?
Never say never, except I think I have to wait for society to welcome positive reality shows. Donnie Loves Jenny was so great because we were able to be positive. Evan refused. He quit, so we couldn't do it anymore. But people want the salacious drama, and I don't. I can't sign up for that. Look, my life is too precious to dirty it up.
I remember when I was doing a lot of the heavy autism work for my brother, I remember there was a moment because I was writing books. I had signed my family on to do a documentary where we kind of shared all of it. And I, at the time, was like, I need to write the books and we need to do this documentary because that's what's affording us the ability to get access to some of these treatments at the time. A lot of people didn't understand it. The internet didn't understand it. They thought I was exploiting. And I think that was an inner insecurity that I had. And I remember at that time thinking, I hope one day he doesn't grow up and hate me for exploiting our story so much because I know what my intention in doing this is. And I know it's affording us these, they shouldn't even be luxuries because it's treatment that was necessary,
Can I say, and what a loving thing to do for your brother. That's the truth of it. What a loving
Thank you.
thing to do. I don't know many siblings that have dropped everything to do that for their brother.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful, Zack.
Well, I bring this up because he's now at the place where he is an adult. He's now 20.
Crazy.
And he is like the biggest supporter of the podcast. Wears the no filter hats, watches every YouTube video, listens to all the episodes. And like when my mom told me, she's like, all he does is play your podcast on repeat all damn day. And she's like, I'm sick of hearing she's like, I'm your mother, but I'm sick of hearing your voice every day, all day, every day. And I was like, oh my God, what a relief. Because I was so afraid. I was like, I didn't want him to feel like I exploited him and I always tried to make the focus on me because I was like, I'll exploit the shit out of my life and my story and whatever. And we can poke cameras into any detail of my life. But I never wanted to utilize him in that way. I always wanted to get us, to be that bridge.
Totally.
Was that ever a fear that you had?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I remember when I had to make that choice. And it was a conversation I kind of had with God. And I said, please help guide the way on how to heal my son. And if you do, I'll teach the world how I did it. And Evan was making great gains. And it wasn't that I felt like, all right, God's going to punish me if I don't do this. It was more like, how could this not be public?
Yeah.
How can I not tell the world that removing gluten and dairy can help some of these kids? That's what really kind of drove me, and thought to myself, hopefully Evan will understand someday, because my intention would probably be the same as his, like share it with the world.
Yeah.
And then that day came where I think he was, I want to say 16, and I got a phone call. I was in New York at the time, and he goes, Mom, I just Googled myself. And I was like, okay. And he said, we need to have a conversation. And I was like, oh shit, this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for. I'm like, I'd rather him Google himself than Google me.
Yeah.
So, which that happened later on. I'll tell you that story.
Oh,
but,
no.
And I talked to him about it, and I said, I had to make that choice. And this is what that choice did. These are the good things that came with it. These are the bad things that came with it. And you can make your own decision. I'm not going to force you and convince you otherwise. I'm going to have you read some letters that I saved, because I received probably, 20,000 letters, some written to Evan, that I saved in a package like this and had him read some of them, of like parents that were saying like, thank you, my kid got better, or Evan, you have no idea. And he came to me and said, I'm so glad you did that. Like, he's such a gift. He's such a Buddha. Every classroom he enters, every friend group he enters, he's a healer. Any kid that's sitting by himself, he will sit down. Any kid that's making fun of, he stands up for them. So fortunately, and I think you're right, because if your intention is pure, it all works out.
Obviously, manifestation got you to this place. What would you say is currently on your manifestation list?
Oh, I think about that sometimes, because I go, I should be manifesting right now. And I'm like, and when I don't have anything to manifest, I say this: more of this, please. more of this, please. Because sometimes I used to feel like, oh my God, I'm not manifesting anything. Why aren't I manifesting? Well, because I've got everything. So
I am.
More of this, please. Yeah. Just bliss. More of this, please. I'm in the most beautiful marriage. I walk around my house. I look at my husband. I look at my son. I look at my beautiful dogs. I'm like, more of this, please. And I just go, more of this, please. And I'm so grateful because I have gone through hell.
Yeah.
And I've come out of hell. I've paid my dues. I've learned so much on this earth school. I'm still learning a shit ton. I have so much to learn still. Then I want more of this, please. And I will say, and I'll include this, the one thing that I still have to try to work on, that I'm still like, okay, haven't mastered that, is self-criticism. Self-criticism is like, it's a lot. And I think like, that's why I'm like, I've mastered, anyone can say anything to me.
Yeah.
But where the projection is me and coming back to me and on me, and being in this business is so hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I would love to shave my head and just never have Botox again.
Yeah.
And saggy tits and cellulite. And sing Kumbaya and have an organic garden and never be heard from again.
Yeah.
You know? So there's like this weird juxtaposition of like this spiritual nomad that wants to like to have nothing, you know, just be. And then this girl that does like being in this business, but then that finds herself caught up and being like, oh my God, you know? So I'm working on, I still have self-criticism. So hopefully the next time you interview me, I've gotten a little bit better on it.
I mean, I think everybody struggles with that.
Yeah. But at least I know what I need to work on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
for being
you.
here and chatting with me and being so honest and open and candid.
Likewise. I'm so
always.
happy for you, Zach. I'm
Thank
so
you.
fucking happy for you. I'm sorry if I swore. I love this man more than anyone could imagine. And you're so talented. You're so talented. You are. You're my favorite interviewer.
Oh.
Sorry, Oprah.
I mean, I didn't think I would be doing this 500 episodes later. I did it for I was like, I'll do this for a year and we'll see what happens. And
Look at it.
here we go.
I love it.
Guys, go and stock up on Formless Beauty by Jenny. Clean ingredients, pure intentions behind each of the different lip glosses, available at formlessbeauty.com. And catch Jenny on season 8 of The Masked Singer, September 21st on Fox. Set your DVR now. Anything else?
Love you.
New Kids on the Block concert tickets. Go get them. It's a fun concert. It's probably sold out by now, but if it's not, I suggest you go get one. We were tearing it up on that dance floor.
We were.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.